Hello, and welcome to TP's Music Talk Podcast. My name is Ryan Ford.
And I'm Nick Replinger.
And you can find us at our website, tpmusictalkpod.wordpress.com.
And you can also find us at anchor.fm/TP Music Talk Podcast and other major podcasting platforms by searching for TP's Music Talk Podcast.
You can find us on other social media as well, like Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Tumblr, and others by searching for TP Music Talk Podcast or for TP Music Talk Pod on Twitter. Just look for our logo.
And you can also email us at tpmusictalkpodcast@gmail.com.
We also have shared playlists on Apple Music and Spotify that you can check out by searching TP's Music Talk Podcast as well.
And don't forget to click the link in the description and leave us a voice message on Anchor. And feel free to leave us a message or a review anywhere you're listening. It really helps us out. And don't forget, donations are always appreciated. You can find a link to donate in the description of any of our episodes.
No part of our show can be reproduced without permission or written consent. All right, so today on the podcast, we're going to talk about why we're starting this podcast, give you an introduction, and just let you know our background on music, I guess.
Yeah, so this idea was all of Ryan's, and so why don't we start with you, Ryan? Why did you want to start this podcast, and what made you influence you to do this?
Well, from the time I was a young boy, I loved music. My mom used to drive around in her Jeep when I was probably 5 or 6, and she had 2 albums that she would always listen to. One of them was NSYNC's first album, and the other one was Linkin Park's Hybrid Theory. And Hybrid Theory especially, when I heard it, I was just hooked. I loved that style of music, and it just really resonated with me, and my obsession with music kind of just grew from there. You know, soon I was listening to all kinds of rock and hip hop and, pop, classical, pretty much everything I could get my hands on. And I just feel like music is something that needs to be talked about in this day and age, because I feel like people don't put any importance into music anymore. But anyway, Nick, what got you into music?
Well, I don't think my recollection is quite as specific as yours. I just remember growing up listening to my parents' music, and my mom and my dad, they were both kind of, late 70s, 80s era. So I listened to a lot of Huey Lewis and the News and Boston and Journey, that type of rock music from the 80s. And then my mom, who is from Germany, she was more into, more foreign artists like ABBA. And of course, she also liked Hall & Oates, who, are from the States. But, so I just listened to all different kinds of music like that. But really what really got me into my own music was just those foundations of what my parents listened to. And then the internet came along. The internet is really what helped me to branch out on what I would define as my music and what I love to listen to. I mean, I still love that era of music. And when I hear classic songs like More Than a Feeling or I Had a Dream, or, the songs that my parents used to listen to all the time, I'll crank up the tunes.
Yeah, and I feel like I need to say here, I actually really like all those bands as well. I mean, I wasn't just limited to Linkin Park and NSYNC. I also really enjoyed, enjoyed Journey, Metallica, Foreigner. There's a lot of bands from the 80s that I grew up onto.
But anyways, continuing with my background, those bands are great. They're awesome and have a lot of influences. But I remember one of the very first songs I really discovered on the internet, on YouTube of all websites back when it was still brand new, was actually Breaking the Habit by Linkin Park. So I think that's one that we can kind of both say that we discovered, and it kind of helped us define what kind of music that we'd love to listen to. I just remember hearing Breaking the Habit. It was just a lyric video. It wasn't an official music video that you can find on YouTube today. I just loved that new intricate beats and style of music. I mean, it wasn't really heavy guitars like I had heard in those previous bands, but it was still, had that, that edge that was different from what I grew up listening to. And it just led me to, to discover other bands around that area. The early 2000s, I would definitely say is our era. Yeah, I guess, and a lot of bands I would say that I listen to today are also focused a lot on the rock and grunge eras, starting all the way from Nirvana to the early 90s, all the way to modern day 3 Days Grace and Breaking Benjamin and, the post-grunge era.
Yeah, love all of those bands. Nirvana is amazing. 3 Days Grace, and I really think it's cool that we both have that history with Linkin Park. Of course, a lot of adults our age have that too, because Linkin Park was so big in the early 2000s, along with 3 Days Grace and many others that we will talk about. Yeah, we're here today to talk about what influenced us as far as music goes. So, who is your favorite artist now and when you were growing up?
My favorite growing up, the thing is, it wasn't really a specific artist because I used to spend time with my dad every Saturday, and just me and my siblings, and he would have these CDs that he would burn from music that he purchased. I had no idea who the artists were. I just knew I loved the songs, that my dad would play all the time. And every now and then, my sisters or my brother or I, we would hear a song that we absolutely loved, and we say, "Oh, this is my song." Every time I hear those songs, like, "Oh, that's Julia and Christina's song," or that's Alex's song. And like one specific instance is one that will forever be me and my brother's song is by ELO, "Don't Bring Me Down." Me and my brother, the part where they go, "Don't bring me down."
Love that
Bruce. My brother and I, we both would just sing that at the top of our lungs and just get in each other's face, just go, "Bruce!" And we just start bursting out laughing. Every time when I think about that song, I think about that good time I had with my brother just sitting in the backseat of my dad's car listening to his music.
Yeah.
So it just wasn't necessarily a specific artist, but just a bunch of random songs that my dad or my mom would play all the time. Like, I didn't even know the names. Like, a lot later, I actually discovered some of the artists and who they were. I just knew them as random songs.
Yeah, and I think that goes for everybody too. Like, you'll hear songs when you're younger, and you don't even realize what band is singing it until you get older, and you're actually paying attention to who the artists are and the music that they create. So yeah, who is your favorite artist now, would you say?
So I discovered them around junior high, 7th, 8th grade, and that would be 3 Days Grace. Although they've gone through some different changes. The original lead singer, he's now with his own band called Saint Asonia. But I still love 3 Days Grace, and they are, to this day, still my all-time favorite. I'm a little more favorable towards their earlier stuff, but their new stuff is great. I just found out that they won Rock Artist of the Year at the Juno Awards. And so,
Wow.
they're still doing really great. And then I'm also looking forward to the new Saint Asonia record with the old singer with his new band.
Yeah, and 3 Days Grace is amazing. Always have been amazing. Me personally, I am a little sad that Adam Gontier is no longer leading the band as lead vocalist, but they're still great, and they still put out really quality music, really good music.
Yeah, and I actually got to see them in concert for the first time in January with Disturbed, and man, it was an awesome concert. I mean, they just, and the whole theme of the concert was really great. I know this is a little bit sidetracking, but it was really exciting for me to see my all-time favorite band, 3 Days Grace, with another band that I loved called Disturbed, and just the whole thing was about reaching out to those who are suffering through anxiety and depression, and they multiple times they talked about reaching out to others and the suicide hotline prevention hotline, and it was a really, when people think of Disturbed, 3 Days Grace, people think the music is very dark and disturbing, but it was a very uplifting concert, and I was very surprised about that. It was just, it's like, wow, the David Draymond, a popular thing he likes to say during his concerts, it's like, we all are disturbed. My brothers, my sisters, my blood. He says, for just one night, we're all different people from different backgrounds, but for one night, we all come together with a single purpose to enjoy this music, and we are a family for one night together. Put our, political, religious, ideological, differences aside, and we are all together as one people.
Yeah, and I'm really glad you brought that up, because music can be so uplifting, and it really does. It just brings everyone together. Like, you can hate a person, you can not get along with them at all, but you guys can share a taste in music, and that can bring you together. Music can get you feeling happy when you're down. If you're in a bad mood, it can help you. It can be an outlet for some of that aggression that you're feeling. Music to me is just amazing, and it's a part of my life that I cherish and that I just want to share with everybody who will listen.
Yeah, and I couldn't agree with you more on that, Ryan. So now let's talk about who are some of your favorite artists from when you were younger, and then your favorite artists from, who they are today.
Well, I think that As far as when I was younger, I think I'm a lot like you in that I didn't latch on to a specific artist. I mean, there were artists that I really loved, like, Linkin Park, 3 Days Grace. I think we have some similarities there. A lot of older music that my parents listened to, even like Depeche Mode. I remember I had a 9 Inch Nails streak where I just really liked their music. I just bounced around everywhere. But if you were to ask me today who some of my favorites are, I could definitely say that Tool is one of my favorite artists to listen to. Even though they're an older band and they haven't released anything for a while, I think that their progressive metal sound is very good, and they really take their time and craft their music well. I mean, they record their music so differently from any other band out there, in my opinion. I just find that they're very interesting and intriguing to listen to. I also really like Eminem. I think that he is a lyrical genius, and it's always super fun to get a new album from him and listen to it and just go over all of his crazy, zany, intelligent lyrics. And I love the beats by Dre. So yeah, Eminem and Tool are a couple of my favorites. I mean, I could definitely go on for days, but I think that that'll kind of give you a good introduction to what I like currently. Although we'll be talking about everything under the sun. I know that most of the artists we've mentioned have been, rock artists or metal, but, we'll talk about pop. We'll probably talk about some R&B. Like anybody out there who has kind of, a different taste from us, we honestly will probably cover your genre of music at some point.
Yeah, I mean, because the whole point of this podcast is not just to talk about what we like. We want you guys to reach out to us and tell us what you want other people to know. Like, let's say you know a band that you feel like nobody knows about. If you want us to talk about them, let us know, and we'll do all the research we can. We'll listen to it, and who knows, maybe we'll discover some new bands that we might like, and maybe will influence us. You never know.
Yeah, and I feel like it's important for us to tell you guys too that we really are going to try and do our due diligence here. We're going to research. There's some bands that we both know a ton about that I think we already know more than most people, but then there's other bands where we really don't know much, and
not a thing. Yeah.
Yeah, so we're definitely going to do our best to try and research, because we want to bring you guys quality content that you can listen to and enjoy and actually learn something.
Yeah, so definitely check out all those platforms that we talked about earlier and reach out to us, and we hope that you'll come and join us again, and we'll let you know what topics that we have planned to release in the next couple of weeks. So yeah, please stay tuned.
And one thing that we want to try and do at the end of every episode is just leave you guys with a quote about music. It can be from an artist or just a general quote about music that we think is cool. So Nick, do you want to let them know what it is today?
All right, so today actually comes from an influence from my mother that I talked about earlier, from ABBA. It's called Thank You for the Music. There's a verse that says, "Thank you for the music, the songs I'm singing. Thanks for all the joy they're bringing. Who can live without it? I ask in all honesty, what would life be? Without a song or a dance, what are we? So I say thank you for the music, for giving it to me."
Thanks for listening, guys. We'll see you next time.